Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games. And today we're going to unbox Stormstrike, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar starter set. Now there's a funny story behind this one because this is a Christmas present I bought for James, the man behind The Lucky Roll, who does all the editing, the camera work, the whole kit and caboodle. He was a huge fan of Warhammer Fantasy and was burnt like most of the Warhammer Fantasy fans when they moved on to Age of Sigmar. So as well, I suppose in one sense, as hoping that he'd give it a second chance, but also as a kind of a cruel joke, I got him this starter set for Christmas. Now, obviously it is February and he's been waiting for me to actually unbox it for all of us before he could actually go out and play with it. So, tired of his actual nagging, I am finally going to unbox this puppy and see what we get inside. So, James, I hope you're watching and paying attention. So, opening this for the very first time, we have a big box lid. So, there's nothing else in the box, so we'll put that to the side. We have here, of course, the characters. So, there's the Sigmarines and the Nazgul lads. Now, as you can see, they're color coordinated, so even if you're not someone who paints, you can actually just assemble them and get playing the game straight out of the box. And they seem to be all push-fit pieces, so you don't even need glue. So what I'll do is I'll bring this over here, and we can see the actual detail that is there on the game. Now that is just one of the bases, but as you can see, these are the Nazgul characters, I believe, which kind of like the living dead, and they form the main enemies for the Sigmarines, or Age of Sigmar warriors. As far as I know, the lore goes that there is Sigmar is the sun god, and by taking the Sigmarines back from the brink of death, he's angered the god of death, who is sending all these bios, or ladies, or lads and ladies and lassies and banshees and whatnot, off to battle them and kind of say, oi, they're our souls given back. So they're the fellas who would be the main ones. So you get, it's basically death versus the sun. That's a cruel way of kind of summing up the Age of Sigmar lore, but for someone who is looking for a quick kind of who or what I am, that's what it is. So we have the good guys and the bad guys. So these are the Sigmarines. Now, as you can see, they're golden, which like the Emperor in 40k. Gold seems to be Sigmar's favorite color. Now you can see these are beautiful crossbows for the different Sigmarines. Very impressive bases. I mean, these are actually beautiful. These on their own be fun to paint. And you have, of course, different animals, like a beast here, and you know, different pieces of the Marines that you put together. So there's two sets of them, of course. Those, I believe, were the ranged fellas, and these are the melee lads. So as you can see, you've got different hammers and shields. So there's the Sigmar symbol right there. And as you can see, they're all push fit, so you just put them back in one at a time. We have here a set of dice, because what game works without dice? And we have here the booklets. So there's a nice bit to these booklets, actually. So we'll open this for the first time. Now, of course, I presume you still need to get the battle tome and the actual rules if you want to expand on your armies. But at least with this, if you never expand upon the game, you have enough here to play the game. So this is quite a nice book, proper plastic hardback. There is Getting Started with Warhammer content, so it'll give you a nice little bit of the lore from what I can see, collecting miniatures, playing the game, introducing you to the hobby, the building and painting side of it, the Stormcast Eternals. So they're not actually Sigmarines, they're Stormcast Eternals. Sigmarines is the non-too-nice actual nickname for them. We have the Legions of Death, and nice little bit of blurb on them there. Painting miniatures. So this to me is my favorite part of the hobby. So this is interesting in the sense that it gives you the lore and it also gives you basic painting techniques. So there is actually a lot in here in this little set in terms of how to use the hobby, dry brushing, painting, layering, all that, basing, glazing. So there's a nice bit here, and you have, of course, the actual Stormcast Eternals that you're painting up, and the Night Haunts, which are the ghostly fellas. So there's a lot of how to make your stuff, and here we have is the actual rules. So the first one, of course, is Battle Plan 1 Surrounded. So I imagine that it's the step-by-step rule guide that you take out singular models, you play a little scenario, kind of a tutorial with them, and learn how to play the game that way. So you got Shoot first, which is a battle plan. The battle plan 3 is the Crypt. And I suppose as you introduce more to it, you get to learn more about how the game plays. Hallowed Ground with hero phases. And the next steps, of course. So if you want to spend more money for Games Workshop, here are all the other extra bits that you can invest into. The Realms of War. So this is more of the actual lore. The Vengeance of Azir. Spheres of Existence. So I think this is how Warhammer changed from fantasy to Sigmar. Someone hit the big reset button and this is how they justify it. And we have the Soul Wars here. So that's actually a nice bit of reading here if you wanted to be introduced to the actual game. This is, so far, I have to say, a very impressive set because it introduces everything into the hobby, from painting to baby steps to the actual lore. So it's a nice big thick 80-page book that comes with this set. So you have blurb here in the Night Haunts, the Glaive Wrath Stalkers, the Myrnmoor Banshees. So a beautiful little book. Nice bit of reading in that, and you know, on its own, that's a nice thing to have. We have here, of course, the core rules. So if you don't want to thumb through that big book, you have at least a nice, easy-to-reach guide here, which goes through the different phases and different battle plans again. So as you can see, you've got a straight-on battle plan here, war scrolls, war scroll battalions, allegiance ability. So it tells you how to kind of develop the game a little bit further. And of course, the assembly guide here, which is nice and detailed and clear, and there's a perfect painting guide here if you want to go into and paint your little models with a list of all the lovely paints that you have to get. And another one here in the back. We have here the actual war scroll cards. So these are handy because they're quick, easy references for your characters if you do play the game, that you have your stats right there to hand. And if you're attacking a certain figure, you can see what their wounds, their save, their bravery, or the move rules are like. So we also have two things here which seem to be quite nice. This is new. I haven't seen this before. It's for a specific character, Rankhor the Grimhaler. So you have a war scroll for this unique character here. And for Alestra Soulbright, which is another big unique character here, which I didn't see get included into the game. So I suppose it's tantalizing you with bigger, better characters if you want to go for them. And we have here the map. So, sorry James, I have to open this to show it to people. So it's good in the sense that you have an actual terrain to place it on. So instead of measuring out your table or whatnot, you can just unfold this, plonk it on the table, and you have both your terrain and your table size. So as it's quite big, and actually it's exceptionally big. This is, I'd say, 4 foot by 2 foot. So as you can see, there is a lot to it. And she is, of course, double-sided. So in fairness to this box set, it is incredibly good value so far. So I'm just going to fold this back because it's nigh on impossible to show it now. It's of a kind of a postery kind of plastic material. Well, not really plastic, but more of a postery material, but if you spill a drink in it, it'll resist it to at least to a little bit of a degree. But it's bad. It's bad etiquette to drink around board games and whatnot. These are, of course, the next step. So you have your little tick box here as well if you want to kind of check off what you're buying or whatnot. So that's how kind of them. We have here a range ruler, and we have here, of course, transfers. So these look like the Stormcast Eternal transfer sheets. There's no transfers for the Nighthawks. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything that comes in this box set. And I have to say, I'm not going to say the price now, but it is incredibly good value. I have to say now, if I was to take the plunge into the hobby, this is a very good place to start. It's not too expensive. It's a lovely present for someone who's not into fantasy or into Warhammer anymore, to kind of guilt them back into it. So it's nice and impressive enough to kind of guilt people like James back into the hobby. And oh yes, one final thing I should have pointed out is that the box itself is also terrain. So as you can see here, there's a nice little shrine to it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormstrike box set. And until next time, this is Sean from The Lucky Roll. Good luck, God bless, and James, you can finally have your Christmas present now.